Turn it up a little bit. Check. Can you hear me? A little better, huh? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll talk really loud. You guys act like I got something to tell you. I can tell you one thing, it's a little bit windy day, but it is a beautiful day. I don't know whether you enjoy it, but I enjoy when I look back across this meadow and see some cows.
Yeah! Woo!
They look like they're pretty happy. In fact, they might be wondering what I'm going to say. I don't know.
Say moo.
Anyway, I'm happy to be here. I've been talking to the media almost 100% of the time the last couple of weeks, really. Sometimes I say the right thing and sometimes I say the wrong thing, but I have enjoyed talking to the people of America and enjoyed talking to the world, and I hope that I've said something that would be worth them listening to. I definitely am really not, I guess I can't say I'm tired, but I am tired in one sense of thinking that I'm the important person here. To me, you are the important people here. And the media, you're the important person here because you're going to talk to we the people wherever you send your message around the world. And so you're very important. And of course, it's very important that I say something worthwhile. And you know what my heart and my feelings are that I'm just happy that we're all here on this earth at this time and have this opportunity. You know, we've never had an opportunity where the old rancher could talk to millions of people, maybe even hundreds of millions of people. I have no, it's just unbelievable that we could live in a time when I could do that. And you could broadcast this through the satellites and bouncing around the world, and even at this moment they could be hearing me there on the other side. That's almost magic. But because it's magic, I want to recognize that we do have a God, and I believe in a Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, and I believe in His Spirit being here upon the earth, and I believe that each of us is His children, and we're important to Him. We're very important to our Heavenly Father. And you know, you Christians believe in Jesus Christ, and we believe that He suffered and died for us. And you know, I have a little insight on that I'd like to share. As I thought about Him in the Garden of Gethsemane, and He was kneeling, and He was to take on the sins and the pains of the world. I could see that, I can understand the blood and the tears coming from every pore of His body. But the one thing I didn't understand is how much happiness He had in being able to do that for each of our souls. He was able to communicate and knew each of us individually, and He was happy to take that burden on Him and suffer for us. And of course, what He wanted to do is He wanted to take the burden off our backs, that we might not have to suffer and for all of our sins, and we have a lot of sins. But He didn't. He wanted to take that burden off. And so we'll just believe in Him and have faith in Jesus Christ. He will take them burdens away from the world. And that, you know, that's an important message to the people. That you're individual, and you're important. You're important to yourself, and you're important to your God, and you're important to your country. And we live in a land where we have freedom. We have freedom, just like I have freedom to talk to you. I can talk to you about my beliefs and my thoughts, and at least we're able to exercise our First Amendment rights here in the open, and along this river bottom, we're not locked up in one of those pig pens like the government wanted to have us a couple of weeks ago. So we have some liberties and freedoms that we've already won. Now there's a racial issue yesterday, and it got sort of bad. They figured I was probably one of the worst racial people on the whole earth, and but I never did believe that. I believe that the people that been listening to me knew better. I think the medium knew better, and I hope that I didn't offend anybody. If I did, I ask for their forgiveness, and but I'm not withdrawing what I said. Things I said I meant, and whether you understood it right or not, I don't know. But it come from my heart, and the reason it come from my heart is I'm concerned about all of these individuals. I believe that they should have equal rights. I believe that they are equal in the sense that they were created equal. And I think that their opportunity in this world should be equal. I think they all should have the liberty to exercise their conscience. And I believe that they should be able to go anywhere in the world and exercise that conscience. I believe that they ought to be able to have the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, freedom of their own employment, a choice of their loved mate. I think they should have the freedom to experiment and to create and to build. And I think they should have the freedom for family unity, that they should be able to enjoy one another. And with these freedoms, that's what our Constitution has guaranteed us. Our Constitution has guaranteed us that we have indivisible and individual freedom, and that's very important. What a beautiful land we live in. Have you ever stopped and think that we have most of these freedoms and liberties, and we've been raised under these? We understand that they're threatened. These rights of ours are threatened, and we don't like that threat, and we're not going to put up with a threat like that. And we're not going to go back to a country where a central government rules over with unlimited power. We're not going to do that, not in America. And we're not going to expect any of our neighboring countries to live under that type of government either. So they need to pay attention to our Constitution and build their world around them with liberty and freedom and justice for all. And this battle over we the people have an agency has been fought even before we come to this earth. I believe that. But you know, our founding fathers, we was in America. Our pilgrim fathers were here 200 years, and we still didn't have freedom and liberty. They come over here to exercise those things and cross the ocean, and they never did have them for 200 years. That's why they had to fight the Revolutionary War. And when we the people fought that war, our government didn't fight it, our states didn't fight it. We the people fought them, that great war, and we won our independence. We created the Constitution of the United States, and that Constitution is what we have today here in southern Nevada, Clark County, Nevada. So now we're talk about land and sovereignty. Everybody wants to know why Cliven Bundy don't pay his grazing fee. Well, let me tell you, I would pay my grazing fee to the proper form of government if I owed it. And you know, people forget about my pioneer heritage struggling on this river and on this land, and how they created my rights. They created my rights through beneficial use. And those rights are guaranteed me by Nevada state law, and I exercise and ranch and try to abide by the Nevada state law, and I actually say that the United States District Court does not have no jurisdiction or authority. And boy, that upsets a lot of people. How come does the United States court does not have jurisdiction and authority here in Clark County, Nevada? And my answer is they do not own this land. They do not have a title to it. The Nevada is a sovereign state. So they're a foreign court to us. And who would be the proper court? The proper court to deal with this land and this problem would be a Nevada State Court of competent jurisdiction. That's the kind of law and property rights that I have. What about some questions? Anybody got some questions for me today?
Cliven, are you tired about talking about race?
No, I'm not tired of talking about race. I thought that, I said, I think yesterday, it's time the United States has a discussion about race. And so I'm not tired of talking about race. I think race is a big deal when it comes to the government having unlimited power and pointing guns at us and all that type of things. I think all races should be talking about this, having their opinions, and defending their liberty and right. I think all races should be. Color? I can't see color. Everybody looks the same to me.
Yeah.
Woo!
What do you think of, can you tell us your views on the Constitution?
What I think about the Constitution? Well, I've tried to explain that for a couple of weeks. I think the Constitution is the greatest document on earth.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah.
Hey, Cliven, can you tell us about a little bit about your ranching operation? How much business you do, who you sell your cattle to, the beef that you serve out here, is it Bundy beef? Give us a sense in terms of your business.
Okay, he wants to know about my business.
Of course he does.
Yeah, there's a lot of people want to know that. No, he's talking about what about my beef business? And you know, there's a sign on my yard that we're in the cattle and melon and kid business, and that's sort of what we do here. But the beef business, I can talk a little bit about my beef business. I've been in the beef business ever since I was about 5 years old. And right down here along the river here, I found a dogie calf. And the mother the cow had got stuck in the mud or something, and anyway, she had died, and I've seen this dogie calf. And I knew the cow belonged to my grandpa Jensen, who lived in Mesquite. And so I told my grandpa about this calf, and he said, well, if you can catch it, you can have it. And so it was a little bull calf, and that was where I began to be in the cow business. When that calf got a little older, I sold that calf and bought two Brahma heifers. And I bought them from a guy that lived right over the top of the mountain here. So now I've got two heifers, and that herd built and built until today I have about 500 good cows. Now let me tell you a little bit about my cows. I tried to figure out what the best kind of cow was, but to run on this desert range, and I knew the history of a Hereford cow. And she's pretty well what took over the cow business across the Midwest and across the West. So I knew that the Hereford cow was a good mother. And so then I tried to figure out what kind of animal would live on this old hot, dry desert and travel and go without water and eat the rough browse. And so I decided it had to be a Brahma. So what I did, the cows that I have right now, I went down to Arizona and I rented 600 Hereford cows. And then I went to Texas and I rented 30 the best gray Brahma bulls I could get and put on those cows. And I did that 2 years in a row. And anyway, I ended up with what they call F1 tiger stripe cows. They're a special breed. They live twice as long as their mother Hereford cow does. They can run out on these rocks and travel 15, 20 miles away from water, and they eat the browse and handle the heat. Their system, instead of like a Hereford cow can't sweat, but a Brahma cow can sweat, so they can handle the heat, just like a human being can. So anyway, there's these things that I've put together, and I've did a lot of range improvements, like move the water across the desert. And when I've done that, I've been able to now have a good sustained herd of about 500 good cows. And what happens there is I harvest these calves, and eventually they'll go into feedlots, and they'll end up on your dinner table as red meat. Good hamburger, delicious steaks, and they have flavor, and they're sort of a natural because they live out here in a natural environment. They live quite a bit like a wild deer would. In other words, they're not penned up in a corral. They have their own habitat, their own range. And anyway, I've got a good operation. I'm harvesting a renewable resource that nobody else can harvest, except maybe a cow or a sheep. And let me tell you how good these cattle do. These cattle can go out here and eat the weeds and the brush and produce a milk good enough to feed your baby. That's a pretty good machine.
Mr. Bundy, I got a question for you. I'm a horsewoman, and I adore what you're doing out there. Your family is wonderful. I've watched for years. I've had a horse rescue, and I've watched for years how these helicopters destroy animals and how the BLM does not have a clue of how to manage the lands like a rancher like yourself goes back in history. And I'd like to hear from you, sir, is we respect your work so much. When these men brought these helicopters out and ran your animals to death, isn't there a way that we can get the media to understand that the truth is we have to stop the management of these lands by people who have no clue what they're doing and allow our ranchers to know what they're doing and take the respect from our ranchers and start getting our constitutional rights upheld without being bastardized by the mainstream media? You're doing a great job out there. How do we keep those helicopters away from killing our animals?
Well, did y'all hear? She's saying, how do we keep those helicopters away from killing our animals? And they're talking about those contract cowboys that come out here. And let me tell you a little bit of what happened to these cattle. We spend a year round trying to gather these cattle, and sometimes we don't even get them gathered in care of 1 year. They come out here in 3 or 4 days. They gather almost 400 head. Well, how do they do that? Well, they do that with the high-tech machines. And what they're doing with these animals is they're running them basically to death. Now, if you look out across these mountains here, it's all rock and gravel. It's not sand and dirt. It's rock and gravel. And when those cattle in their natural habitat, they make trails, and they only travel at least the amount. And the reason why they're doing this is they're trying to save their feet, their hooves. It's like putting a horseshoe on a horseshoe. When it wears out, then the horse gets sore-footed. Well, the cow don't have a horseshoe, so it's like your fingernails. If you cut your fingernails too short, what happens? They get sore. And the cow, and her feet wears her hoof off too fast, they get sore, and then she can't walk far enough to get feed. But when you start chasing them with a helicopter, it's only a few miles, and they wore all of those hooves off, and now they're down to the quick on their feet, and they're sore-footed. And then the slow ones get behind, and then the cowboys are roughing them up and trying to push them along, and they're leaving their calves behind, and they're some of them are running off, and they're roping them and dragging them. There's all kinds of abuse, and my cattle show all of those injuries now. What she was talking about is, how are we going to stop this? Well, the best thing I could say is remember who the manager of this land are. They call themselves public land managers. Well, let's get the definition of public. Whose land is this? Is it the United States government? Or who is it?
We the people.
It's the people. That's right. And who's the closest government to we the people?
County.
The county government. So let's manage our own land at the county level, and then we have county managers. We have a county sheriff to do our policing, and then what does somebody like me have to do with all that? Well, I have a beneficial use created through preemptive rights and a beneficial use, which my forefathers and myself has created. That's Nevada law. In other words, if the first come, first use, if we continue to make beneficial use of it, then we're protected by Nevada state law. So the managers of this land, the stewards of this land, should be the rancher or the miner or the timber people or whatever. They should be the stewards of the land. Who's the governor? The county commissioner. Who's the law? The county sheriff. That's what our constitution, the type of government our constitution created.
What do you think about us putting the BLM out there on foot, letting the helicopters chase them around there?
Was it true that you had some prize bulls killed?
Yes, they were in this herd. I don't know how many, but there were at least 2 big bulls killed that they didn't even try to put in the kraal. They just, one of them was shot with a helicopter down through the back, and the other one was shot right between the eyes and drug away. So we know of those 2. So we're not sure exactly how many cattle have been killed. We know that the BLM records showed that they had like 384 cattle captured. When they come back underneath the freeway after the citizens released them out of the kraal, they counted 352. So I think there was 37 animals that's missing. We don't know whether they're in graves or whether they hauled a truckload of them away. We do know there are 8 more that's dead we've counted.
Can I ask you a question? What if you go out and steal somebody's cattle, or you kill some man's cattle, or you take a man's horse, isn't there repercussions to that if the animals were to go out there and do that?
Yes, they are. There's United States laws, and then there's the law of the West. You remember, if a person stole a horse, he got hung, and he stole the cattle, he might not get hung. His whole life was ruined because he was known as a cattle thief. Well, you know, this our United States government and these contract cowboys and cattle thieves, I think they'll be known the rest of their life for being cattle thieves.
You bet.
I have a question for you. The day that you had your cattle returned to you had Arizona legislators come in to support you. Have you had additional support from neighboring states? And what kind of continued support are you receiving from our legislators?
You know, Arizona did support me and supported us as a group. Utah governor supported us. Several of the counties in Utah give us support. They are Nevada Cattlemen's Association, other associations around have showed some support. A continuous support. The only thing I'm hearing is they're having meetings. They've never really reported me, but these state legislators are having meetings all over the country. The governors are getting involved. And, you know, I don't know whether they're for me or against me, but they are. This is a topic that they're discussing. So let's see what happens.
Did the sheriff investigate the graves?
The sheriff did not investigate the graves. When we talked about what was going on here and asking the sheriff to get involved, his office says we're not sure there's a criminal intent here, attempt here, intent. But anyway, the sheriff wouldn't recognize as a criminal action being taken. Let's put it that way.
Have you been in touch with the sheriff since then?
The last time I talked to the sheriff was up here on the stand. That's been 2 weeks ago, tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Would you be willing to pay fair grazing fees to the county, Cliven?
Would I be willing to pay a fair grazing fee to the county? You know, about a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago,